Everybody, welcome back. These are some unhinged mother-in-laws that are on another level.
Trifling.
Basically a monster-in-law.
She fancied her and some.
My ex-mother-in-law told CPS that I unalived my kids because I wouldn't speak to her. Storytime edition. I was divorced for about 2.5 years. My ex-husband had lost custody because he wouldn't complete a psych eval that was court ordered. And his mother went ahead and called CPS. And I look at my phone, I'm around town, like just kind of doing some errands or something. And I look at my phone and I see on my camera at home that there are 2 officers at my front door who are ringing the bell or up and pull 4 other police cars, right? So I'm at this point really concerned. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to get the phone to walkie-talkie to them, and I get a phone call from one of the officers, and she says that my ex-mother-in-law told CPS she thought that I had hurt my children or unalived them because she had not seen them in weeks. My ex-mother-in-law saw the kids one time the entire time I was married to her son. 5 years. She never FaceTimed them. She never asked how they were. She didn't ask for photos of them. Nothing. When we got divorced, all of a sudden she started to pretend like she cared. She would start sending packages with like some clothes in it, something for the kids, and a card that was like, Gigi loves you. And if I would move and I didn't give her my new address, she would find a way to find it and send me stuff as like a, haha, I know where you live. Tell this officer. I go, well, first of all, my kids are fine. Here's the schools that they're at. Here's their name, their teachers' names. Have somebody go. And I'm looking at the screen. I can see a cop pulling off, 2 cops peeling off to go to each, the daycare and the school. So the officer that I'm on the phone with, I go, by the way, she has not seen these children in over 2.5 years, probably 3 years at this point. I don't speak to her because she is nuts. And the officer goes, oh, yeah. We get that a lot, unfortunately. And if you want to hear what my ex-mother-in-law had to say when I confronted her, go ahead and leave a comment below.
Leaving comment below.
Is there more? Oh, there is. Oh, goody. Oh, God, there's definitely more.
I just find it odd that, like, there was no interest in your kids when she was their she's still their grandmother, but you're no longer with her son. So, like, I just find it interesting that now there's an interest in the kids now that you guys aren't together anymore. They should press charges for false claims like that, especially if they get it a lot. Yeah, I find that rather odd. Like, false complaints like that. Like, you can weaponize the po-po. You shouldn't be allowed to waste the time of police officers. I would imagine it's kind of hard to like mitigate that, like what is wasting time and what isn't. But I would say this is high on the list of what we would call wasting a police officer's time. I have to hear what she said. Ooh, this will be good.
So I emailed my ex-mother-in-law and I said, you have got to be trifling to think that you're going to pull this off on me. How dare you? Why would you ever do that? And her response was, you don't FaceTime me 3 times a week with the kids so I can see my grandkids, and I'm their grandma, so I'm entitled to that.
No, you're not.
When I tell you that the screw you that came out of my mouth when I read her email response to me was so loud, FaceTime you? You gotta be kidding me. This woman held an intervention to tell my husband, who I had a baby with, that the baby wasn't his and he should leave me. Their whole family held an intervention when I was pregnant because they didn't think it was his baby.
Oh my goodness.
Why? Why, you ask? Did they not think it's his baby? Because I felt kicks at 17 weeks pregnant instead of 20 weeks pregnant, like it says on Google. Google. So I'm lying about the paternity because of something that Google says about when you can feel babies kick.
So grandma, who doesn't believe these children are her own, wants you to FaceTime her 3 times a week so that she can speak to the children who are supposedly not her own.
Did she make you take a paternity test too?
Grandparents are entitled to nothing! And I'm a nana. I work for my relationship with my grandkids, literally. Like, imagine if grandkids, like, unless you are, no. Like, I feel like unless you're actually the guardian, like the mother and father of the kids, grandparents are literally entitled to nothing. You are not entitled to Those kids are only 1/4 of your DNA, or according to you, they're not related to you at all. Nonna. This person says, if you feel you're so entitled to something, take me to court, see what the judge says. Literally, like, no judge will allow that. The judge will literally laugh in your face. How are you not embarrassed?
So I emailed her back and I said, your son hasn't seen his kids or spoken to his kids since they got diagnosed with autism because he's dirt. He's literally trash and he's disgusting. So don't you dare, first of all, pull this crap. Don't you dare ask me to FaceTime you at all. I don't care if it's Christmas. I'm not FaceTiming you. You're not my mother. You raised a terrible human being. And if you had raised a good son, then you wouldn't have this issue. You'd see the kids because he would have 50-50 custody. So if you want to see your grandkids, maybe you should go back in time and raise a son who's not a POS. Okay? And by the way, why don't you send him a message? He owes me like 10 grand in child support. If you ever dare to try that with me again, I will tell the police that you filed a false police report and I want to press charges. And you can sit in jail.
You should do that anyway, girl.
And I got no response after that. So
I'm surprised you haven't filed a false police report anyway. Like, why not? You should be doing that regardless.
Camila Alves just revealed that Matthew McConaughey's mom basically put her through hell and tested her at the very beginning of their relationship.
I'm just going to say this right now. Matthew McConaughey looks like a mama's boy. He does. I'm sorry. Look at that face. Look at him. Look at his demeanor. He's a mama's boy. Like, it does not surprise me in the slightest.
Just for a little background on the two, Camila and Matthew met each other at a nightclub back in like 2006. They were together for 6 years and then they got married and they have 3 children together. But like I said at the beginning, when Camila initially met Matthew McConaughey's mom, she was basically a monster-in-law. And if you're wondering about the types of things that Mary Kathleen would do to Camila at the beginning, well, she went into more detail. She said that when the entire family would get together, Matthew's mom would make it a point to call Camila by Matthew's ex's name. This wasn't just a one-time thing. This happened all the time. And it wasn't just one ex's name, it was multiple ex's names.
Wow.
But of course, Camila being respectful of her elders, didn't want to say anything. Another example of what she would do to Camila was that when she spoke to Camila, and Camila would initiate conversation in English to Matthew's mother, she would respond back to Camila in the most broken down Spanish, even though Camila would constantly let her know that she speaks really good English. So Camila said, by her constantly doing that to her in front of friends, in front of family, it just felt like she was putting her down all the time. So basically their relationship was very rocky initially, but things actually changed when Camila invited Mary on a business trip with her to Istanbul. And did Mary take it easy on Camila during the trip? Absolutely not. Turns out she was putting like really bad thoughts in her head about the relationship, saying that Matthew would never settle down with her, just constantly putting her down. So then finally Camila was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. You're negative, you're rude. And she just lost it on Mary. The two had a total blowout, and Camila said that she finally let out her Brazilian and Latin spicy side, and she just let Mary have it. The two went back and forth for a very long time, having an all-out screaming match. And then finally, at the end of the fight, Mary looked right at Camila and says, okay, now you're in.
That is so twisted, but hey, let this be a lesson to all of you. You don't like being pushed around by people? Guess what? They're sizing you up and they're doing it on purpose because they can. This is why we don't let people push us around. Some of them might be doing it on purpose. Just to keep you right under the thumb, right under the thumb. But now this woman respects Camila because she stood up for herself, okay?
And it turns out the entire time that Mary was being hard on Camila and putting her down and basically being disrespectful and testing her, all she wanted from Camila was for her to fight back and to really stand up for herself. And from that day on, the two are closer than ever, love each other, go on vacations solo together. and supposedly have an amazing relationship. But I guess Camilla just needed to be initiated into the McConaughey clan. But I don't know if I'd be able to personally put up with that.
Why do we need to test people and like push them around, and they need to like get so fed up that they fight back for us to respect them as human beings? Especially after like a long relationship like that. Like, you know, they were together for 6 years before they got married. That is so unbelievably twisted. Like, what a roundabout way to get someone to like you. Like, what the I bet Camilla letting out her like Latina side, like the Latina fire. Oh my goodness. Let her rip, baby girl. It's not just like respectful of your elders. Like, I feel like it's not just that. It's also just like wanting to be liked by people, you know, like not wanting to like be too disagreeable, you know, not putting up boundaries and stuff like that. Like not asserting our boundaries. I feel like people do that because it's just like, we just want to be liked. But at the end of the day, if it's at the expense of our own happiness, like it's not worth it. Tell me your husband's family doesn't like you without telling me your husband's family doesn't like you. Okay. All the females decided to wear black funeral dresses to our hot late summer wedding. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that. Oh. It would be one thing if it was one black dress. It's a whole other thing that everyone wore one. You're not slick. You're not slick. I think it's okay to be initially apprehensive about whoever your like daughter or son is dating. But I mean, let's remember, like even in friendships, like let's just like trust people's judgment, especially our own flesh and blood. If they love somebody, then that should matter to you. Get someone to change the dress color in the photos and send them out to them as a gift.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful dress.
Makes you wonder why they even bothered coming if they didn't support his choice who he was going to marry, literally. Just don't come. Oh no, but you'd rather just be a petty. You'd rather be a petty. I mean, let's not be overtly petty like this. We gotta be sneaky when we're petty because then we look bad. I would say like the best way to be petty is to just be better. Look better, be more successful, improve yourself, and like show up in like a beautiful gown or something like that. What are people gonna do? Get mad because you look good? Like, then they look stupid, right? My mother-in-law wore black to our wedding and she refused the mother-son dance. Ooh, it's one thing to wear black, it's another to do that. My sweet grandmother-in-law stepped in to save my babe from the embarrassment. Literally, because like the only person who looks embarrassing in that moment is you, mother-in-law. It's you. You're embarrassing yourself. Nobody else. You look dumb.
Random things that my ex-mother-in-law didn't said because she fancied her own son. I think she wanted to marry him. Completely blanked me for the first 4 days of knowing me. Incredibly awkward because I was staying at my boyfriend's apartment. Some mornings we would wake up, my boyfriend would have gone to training and I would be there with just her. And I would like be in the kitchen, let's say, and she would walk out of the apartment and not say goodbye. Just slam the door. Adios. And that would be after I would say good morning to her, obviously, because I'm not a weirdo. Got to the point where when he saw it, he was like, excuse me, like, Sarah's here, can you say hello to her? And her excuse for not being able to talk to me or just not even bothering was that there was a language barrier. Now, I totally understand that I do speak very fast sometimes and maybe it is a little bit hard to decipher what on earth I'm saying. But her son had exactly the same accent as me because he hadn't seen his mum in 11 years. And she told him that if I had any respect for him, I would go and learn their language. Her own son could not speak their language. He could understand it slightly, but he could not speak it. So when he confronts her and says, like, you've got to start speaking to my girlfriend, her response is that every time she's then around me and I try and talk to her, she tells me, wait, she gets her phone out and she does Google Translate. Imagine that. Every time that you are in a room full of people, she is only translating what you say. She went as far as to say that I had a common accent, which I have been told before, but I don't expect to be told it constantly. It's just unnecessary. She constantly fat-shamed me. She compared me to a Shetland pony, which is semi-true and actually quite funny. But
it's not at all. Shut up.
One day, she invited me for coffee, and despite me thinking that she might just like put a load of arsenic in my coffee, I said I would go. For background, my boyfriend at the time did not know his dad, But she had told him that his dad was a certain nationality and he had always believed that. During this time in his career, he'd been given the opportunity to go and play for a certain team, represent them. You had to be a certain nationality. So he says he's got a fair chance of getting in with that side. I know nothing about sport, but there must be some sort of background checks. And so he would need to prove that he was indeed that nationality.
I'm sorry. This mother-in-law, your man's doesn't know his father. Yet she's gonna be picky and choosy and high and mighty about your relationship? And also the fact that she doesn't have, like, I'm assuming that she also doesn't have a husband, by the way that you're talking about her. Yeah, she likes her son a little too much.
At this coffee, she tells me she had lied about where his dad was from.
Oh, what an exemplary person.
I remember, because I felt I was devastated for him. And she tells me not to say anything. Now, I know some of you are going to think I'm wrong for this.
He's gonna know.
I sat on that information for a few days, and then after watching him going through everything that he was going through, trying to find certain things out so that he could put himself forward for this certain team, I said, listen, I need to tell you something. The other day when your mum took me for coffee, she told me she lied. I think she's a bit embarrassed. Having a massive temper, storms straight into her bedroom, starts screaming. Absolutely not what I intended to do, but that's what happened. Maybe I was wrong for that, but...
I don't think you were wrong for that at all. I mean, I'm sorry. It seems like this person does not exactly have your best interests in mind, nor do they respect you. So why would you keep the secret? That's going to result in your man's being incredibly embarrassed and getting rejected from his dream. You have literally no loyalty to her. I'm sorry.
Since when are we friends? Since when are we friends?
I didn't want him to be embarrassed when she couldn't pull through with whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I was very young. She says she never told me that. Never said it. Flatly denies it to my face. She calls me out into the living room and we have to have like this, I don't know, it was like a scene from EastEnders. It was truly horrific. So now I'm looking like just some weirdo who wants to start trouble. And she sees this as an opportunity and she says that I'm jealous of her. I'm jealous of their bond. Bear in mind they haven't seen each other for 11 years. But
Interesting
I'm jealous.
choice of words.
I'm jealous of their bond. She goes as far as to say that she's used to this behaviour because women have always been jealous of her. I remember thinking, like,
oh, interesting.
Are you on drugs? I come from a family where my mum is not in competition with me. I don't see mother figures as someone that I would need to be jealous of because I see them as like love and care.
That is a very, very good point. Jealous of your bond between a mother and son. Why would you secretly want the same bond that a mother and son have? You wouldn't want that kind of bond. I mean, to each their own, I guess, but like, interesting choice of words.
Jealous of a bond.
I did not know what gaslighting was back then, but I know what it is now, and I know that that's what that whole thing was. I leave and I'm like, there's no coming back from this. Like, I need to get away from this. This is weird. They somehow end up making up, and yeah, turns out she did lie and she does come clean to him, but she never apologises to me. Just still says that she didn't tell me. Doesn't even know how I know, she says. And that is where she starts to say that I am obviously like Googling him. I'm looking into him. That's how I found him. Bear in mind, when I met him, he was not signed by a club. He did not have a job. And none of that mattered. Definitely did not have a PI on him at the big age of, 18? He starts to say we've been raised differently. We have different upbringings, which I can only speculate as to what that meant because we did have different upbringings. We did. She abandoned him. Yeah, we would be different. Anyway, to make amends, she decides that she will cook us all dinner. And she cooks like a traditional dish, which was lovely, by the way. But at that time, I was a vegetarian, and so I could only eat like the salady bits, which would have been fine for me. I was happy with that. But she sees it as a chance for her to go on a rampage about how starving myself won't help me, won't make a difference. And
Starving yourself? Dude, she picked something that you wouldn't be able to eat. Like, I guarantee you that's what happened.
What do you mean you don't eat no meat?
Despite the fact that she has told me several times that she is naturally thin and she doesn't have to try, unlike me. She tells me she knows exactly how I can lose weight. She's going to show me yoga. Despite the fact I have never expressed I'm unhappy. And so my boyfriend, who I probably had made a few comments to, like about myself, because you just do when you're in a relationship, you feel comfortable to make comments, starts to agree with his mum in a nice way.
Absolutely
That would
not.
be nice. Like, that would be a really nice opportunity for you two to get together. And they take my sheepish, kind of nod, like tears in my eyes type thing, as full consent. And the next thing I know, she is marching me to the bathrooms where there's scales and asking me to step on the scale in front of her, my boyfriend, and his best mate who was like loitering. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't weigh myself. I don't want to be weighed in front of people. I refuse, and then I leave because it's like far too awkward for me to like rectify that situation or laugh about it at that point because I just feel so uncomfortable. So now I look like a weirdo because she's trying to help me and I'm like running off.
I'm sorry, that is not helpful at all.
Come here. Let's just look at this scale. Let's see how much you weigh in front of all of these people.
You don't look like a weirdo. The only weirdo in this scenario is her. And your man for like not saying something.
Anyway, the last straw for me was they have a big game coming up. Everyone's going to be invited. We're all going to be there, friends, family, you name it. Everyone's going. And one of the aunties is going to have the pre-party at her house. Everyone's going to meet there. Now, I really don't want to go for obvious reasons. And so rather than go on my own, I decide I'm going to take my little sister as backup. And for reference, she is 4 years younger than me, but she has always been like the mighty one that's not scared to stand up for herself. So she comes in handy. And she's
good. She's a bulldog.
So we arrive there and straight away, when she sees my sister, she is all over her. She can understand her. She thinks she's beautiful. She compliments her figure. And I will say my sister is absolute weldy. But we do look similar. In fact, I'm going to insert a picture just to show you. I'm in the middle and my sister Lucy is here. This one.
Oh my god, you guys are so hot. Are you kidding me right now? I swear, there's some lengths that some women will go to like make other women feel like it's so like, oh man, remember how I'm talking about the fact that like, you know, playing games in relationships is never a good sign, you know? Like, if you have to work for it, it's just not good. It should be easy. There should be no question in your mind that your man likes you. The same is true for friends. If you have any inkling, and for family members, all right? If you have any inkling that someone doesn't like you, you're probably right. Like, really, realistically, you're probably right, which is kind of sad, but like, whatever. I was fidgeting with my wedding ring and my mother-in-law sitting next to me said, if you don't want it, I'll take it. I'm good. My ex's mom used to call me the breeder. I feel ya. Oh, okay, so having a psycho mother-in-law is a common occurrence. Got it. Good, good, good. Yay, another person to fight with. Tell me your unhinged mother-in-law stories down below in the comments. I know you got a few. Subscribe!